Hi, I'm Ellis Wallentyne, and today I'd like to show you how to refinish a deck. A year ago when I put down this beautiful hardwood deck, it was a lovely brown color. Now, after a year's exposure to the rain and the sun and the snow, it's weathered in many places, and I want to restore the color. The easy way out would be to put a coat of deck stain on, but since this wood is so lustrous and beautiful, I want the natural wood color to show through. So I'm going to do it right and not take any shortcuts. The only way to restore the original rich color is to sand off the weathered wood. If your deck is made of pressure-treated lumber, it probably doesn't need sanding unless it's very rough and splintery. Usually a power washing followed by a coat of deck stain is all you need to do to restore it. But for a beautiful wood like cedar, redwood, or a tropical hardwood like ipe, you need to sand it in order to get back to the rich wood color. Before you can sand, you need to sweep off the dirt. And if there are any nails or screws showing on the face of the wood, you need to drive them beneath the surface so that they don't tear up the sandpaper. If your deck is rough or splintered, or if the boards are severely cupped, you'll have to rent a heavy-duty belt-style floor sander to do the job. Since our boards are already fairly flat, we don't need to remove as much material. So I've rented this less aggressive machine called a floor maintainer. Now this machine is used for buffing, polishing, cleaning, and sanding floors. Make sure when you rent it that you get a selection of sandpaper from the coarse 36 grit range to the finer 100 grit. Today we're going to start with 36 grit sandpaper on our floor. If it proves to be too aggressive or too coarse, we'll switch to the next finer grit. The sanding disc has a bayonet style mount. All you have to do, put it on the machine, give it a quarter turn, and you're ready to go. Now that I've finished sanding the deck and vacuuming up the dust, it's time to apply a finish. If you go to the paint store, you'll find a bewildering variety of deck finishes. Basically, there are three different types. Opaque finishes have the most pigment, so they hide the wood grain under a colored film, much like paint. Because they have the most pigment, opaque finishes generally stand up best against the elements and last the longest before they start looking bad. They're best for decks made of pressure-treated wood where you don't want to see the grain. Semi-transparent finishes have less pigment than opaque finishes. They still add some color, but they let more of the wood grain show through. These are best for attractive woods like redwood, cedar, or ipe. Clear finishes have very little pigment, so the natural wood color shows through. Semi-transparent and clear finishes usually need to be recoated at least once a year to keep looking good. All three types of finish are available in solvent-based and water-based latex formulas. I want to preserve the natural color of my ipe wood deck, so I've chosen a semi-transparent penetrating oil finish, especially formulated for dense hardwoods like ipe. Whatever finish you use, it's important to follow the manufacturer's instructions on the can. First thing to do is to stir it up to get the pigment at the bottom of the can mixed in with the solvent. Now the first thing I'm going to do is coat the ends of the boards using this brush. You can apply your finish with a brush, a roller, or a lamb's wool mop like this one. I'm going to start back here so I don't paint myself into a corner. It's important to spread the finish out to make sure that you don't get any pooling, because if it puddles up, it'll never dry. Now, looking back over what I've just done, I can see that there are a few puddles. So I'm going to go back and brush them out. Because you don't want it to build, or else it won't dry. Now that I've finished the entire deck, I'm going back over it with a relatively dry mop so that I can get all the puddles up. And this evens out the finish so it's the same thickness everywhere. In this high humidity, it's taken 3 days for our oil-based finish to dry, but it was worth the wait. Now we've restored the original color of the porch, and we're ready for a summer of entertaining.